A conversation has come up recently saying that Melty Blood characters have no drip apparently. Uh, I haven't seen this myself, but Mr. Terrence Flowers has seen this and brought it to our attention, so we'll let him go first on this. So, starting with you, Terrence, like, let us know what you have been seeing so we can accurately respond to it.
So, I guess to give some background on this, I'm not sure where it originated. Like, I'm not sure who started everything off, but I do know that I think it really picked up steam when Hook Gang God, he made his tweet about one of the characters from Melty and said that she had no drip, and that just set off a whole bomb on Twitter where everybody was jumping in saying like, "Oh, you're saying that Melty, you're talking about a game that you're probably not even gonna play," or it's like Melty Blood has drip just fine. Like they don't have to look like Guilty Gear characters and everything. And I mean, it's a funny discussion. It's funny to see people go back and forth. It's like, haha, because a lot of the Melty Kit Blood characters, they do look like just like normal people, like wearing like they look like a lot of them since they're like high school students or around that age, they're dressed in like high school attire, or they're just like one of the characters, especially the one that Hook was talking about, is she's just wearing a white t-shirt and just plain jeans. And it like I said, it's just a funny discussion, but at the same time, I think a lot of people that are just kind of dogpiling on it now are probably ones that were never going to play the game to begin with, and they're just using it as an excuse to talk trash about Melty Blood. I did see a video this past week. I forgot who made it, but it was like the title was something along the lines of Melty Blood characters look plain or they have no drip, and that's fine. And they went into an explanation as to the reason why they don't look like fighting game characters is because they didn't originate from a fighting game. Melty Blood is based on a visual novel, and so they look like characters that would come from a visual novel in terms of like most of the characters they're in high school, so they're going to be dressed like they're in high school, and they're going to be dressed like casually, comfortably. They're not going to be like all decked out in terms of like Guilty Gear characters where they have like belts everywhere, like these fresh jackets and everything. They're just normal people, and normal people, when you're just doing regular things, you're not going to be dressed as extravagantly. And also there's like layers underneath it where because the Melty Blood characters look so plain, it kind of disguises who they really are. Like nobody in Melty Blood is as they seem, because a lot of like the story involves like vampires and like ancient mythical beings and stuff like that. I won't get into it. I will say that Melty Blood's lore is pretty interesting just because I've been looking into it to kind of prep myself for the game, just because I always like to know a little bit of the lore if it's a series that I'm not that well versed on, but I do plan on playing the most recent game. But anyway, if you're going to, bottom line is, if you like Melty Blood, play Melty Blood, regardless of whether you think the characters have drip or not. Not every game is going to look flashy. Like, I will just say this. Guilty Gear, the redesigns that they did for those characters, they look better than they ever have. Like, Guilty Gear, in my opinion, has the best character redesigns out of any fighting game series, period. Like, better than Mortal Kombat when they aged up everybody in Mortal Kombat X. Way better than Street Fighter V when they did, like, a lot of their little reduxes on certain characters like Akuma, and Capcom dropped the ball on their characters for Street Fighter V. For like a lot of the touch ups that they gave them, a lot of the characters they kind of fall flat. Some are good, but most of them they're not that great what they did to them. So Guilty Gear Strive stands shoulders above everyone else in terms of their redos for a lot of the characters. But not every game is going to look like that. And we need to have space where not every game needs to look like this fantastical. Like, character design is important. Don't get me wrong. Character design and how they look, it's important to fighting games. Like, honestly, this could be a whole long discussion. I'm trying to kind of narrow it down as much as I can. But like, looks in fighting games are important because how you see a character, like on the surface, that can compel you whether or not you want to play them. Like when you look at a character like Ryu, just looking at his gi and how like battle torn he is, you can tell, okay, this is a guy, he's seen some stuff. He looks like he knows like karate or something in that fashion. And so just off that, just those visual cues, it kind of gives you an idea of what this character is like. When you look at somebody like Kai from Guilty Gear, he has like the way that he's dressed, he looks like somebody who's like from the church or like holy order. So it kind of gives you like how a character looks, gives you some background, not only on maybe how they play, but also like their lore, their connection to the story, etc. So that kind of stuff is important. That doesn't mean that every single character needs to be like all decked out and fly to the nines and everything. That's just my take on it. I think that those are talking down Melty Blood. While it can be fun, if you're not going to play the game, then just ignore it. You don't have to talk about it. But I do think that the ones who do like Melty Blood, maybe they're seeing this as like people downplaying the game, and especially if like big influencers jump on the train and talk about Melty Blood, that's going to cause people to not buy it or just continue to disrespect it. And I can understand that. So I just think that at this point, that if you're not going to play it, there's no need to trash it. I mean, you can make your joke if you want to, but don't keep doing it. And I've seen that repeatedly, is that some people, like with every trailer, there's a person who will say, oh yeah, this is yet another character that doesn't have drip. I think we probably just need to cut that out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the character designs, like, it's important, like you said, but fighting games are just like a collective of so many different factors that come together to make the overall experience. And with character design, it's just a part of that whole overall scheme, like a nice healthy dish of food. That's so many different things coming together to make it. Like the burger might be 5, this might be this. And just because the fries are like a 2 and a 5, then 2.5 or something like that, doesn't mean like the whole thing is gonna be bad. So hopefully that analogy didn't sound stupid. So go ahead, you can go, Mr. Gamer.
Um, this is actually interesting that we're talking about fighting game characters and their drip, like they're actual people or whatever. But I don't understand, like, characters that appeal, is something that's very important. And Terrence actually mentioned something that's on my train of thought is, well, before I say that, I will say that the characters in Melty Blood do look plain, are probably some of the most plain as opposed to other games. Um, I played Melty Blood before, and look at, like, I pulled the character select screen up on my computer right now. If you look at the character screen real fast, it almost looks like there's like the same person on it like 3 times over. Like
Yeah.
you look at the character select screen, it's like it's just only 5 people, like multiple versions of the same person. This character is a team, but you can also play them separate. So I will say this, like, but again, this is an older game. This game has been out for a long time, and we're just now getting a newer version of Melty Blood. So that has a lot to do with it too, because like Terrence said, it's based off of a novel, graphic novel. So it's like this game has been in an older time. Those type of the way they're dressed, like he said, they're younger in school and whatnot, I'm assuming. So it's like, even look at JoJo, like that style of like that uniform, and they got the dress, they got the little skirt with the shirt and stuff like that. I mean, they're younger students. So, and even when I play the game, I was trying to find who I want to play, and it was like, it wasn't any of the characters that look similar. That's just me. I like to be and I like to be grabbed by a character's appeal, like how they look. I'm like, oh, I like how this character looks. I want how they fight. Now, when I go and try them out, I might not like their fighting moves and the way they play, but I'm drawn by what they look like. So I picked the guy that, it was like the vampire dude. He kind of reminded me of Alucard. I like Symphony of the Night. So I'm like, let me pick this dude. And the guy with the coat that has like, he's like, what are you buying? But it's like a lot of demons and stuff. So those are who I picked, because they look different and they look a lot more cool to me, because everybody else like, oh, she has a skirt, sweater. I like, even the guy, what's his name? Tono, the guy with the knife and the little blazer. He looks
The
pretty
main
cool.
character.
Yeah, he looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
But if you look at like under like Seth, I think Seth is very loosely, well, I ain't gonna say loosely, pretty closely similar to those characters. Like, he got the knife. He kind of, his outfit is kind of, but it's a little more exaggerated. So even that's a good, like, he has a similar style, but he's like, his outfit is really, it stands out. So, but I mean, this is nothing that's like new to fighting games. Like, I've had this conversation with one of my friends before, Mr. Dupree, Gazelle Excess. He knows who he is. And he doesn't like the way the KOF characters look. And I can see why he doesn't, because you look at other fighting games, you like, this guy here, he got on a jacket, jeans. But even Terry Bogard, like Terry Bogard looked like he came straight out of Final Fight with Cody with the white tee and the jeans on. Like, But I mean, now they've as the game has progressed, they still have the similar outfits, but they have added a little more, sauce to them, a little more drip. Um, and I do enjoy some of the character designs in KOL. Benny Maru being one of my favorites because he's based on my favorite character in JoJo. He's literally based off Pierre Polnareff, and you can look at it. It's obvious. It's like blatantly obvious. Because before I knew that, I was like, okay, Benny Maru looks cool, but after I figured out, I'm like, he actually looks dope, and I find he has lightning powers. I'm like, oh, I gotta play this character. So he's like one of my favorites in KOL for now. Um, so yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's like you can say you don't have drip, you don't have to like, bash him for it or anything. The game still is probably gonna be pretty cool. You might find some characters that's actually pretty unique. But I will say that's probably the biggest detriment. That when you're at the character select screen, you're like, I don't know who to pick. I guess I just start picking at random because everybody look kind of similar. So I don't know. I can't go based off like, okay, they look cool. Let me try them out. Because she looked just like, so do I play her? So I think that is one of the detriments to having your cast look like so similar. And then also, like I said, I think there's like multiple versions of each character. So I mean, it is what it is. Like Terance said, you're not gonna have every game that's looking like, Guilty Gear is like from the get go was like the out there game. Like I think out of all the games I've seen in my lifespan, like Guilty Gear has been like the most out there, like with the characters. Like I'm talking about out there. And I saw like Zappa for the first. I'm like, okay. You see Zappa, you see Faust. I'm like I play Faust now, but when I first saw Faust, I'm like, I would never play this character. What? Like he just looked, but they're so like they take you aback because it's just like, what am I seeing? These characters look insane. So every game's not like that. I mean, even if you look at games like Tekken, some of them have basic stuff on, especially like early Tekken. You want to talk about having no drip? You want to look at that boy Kazuya? That man was out there straight stonewashed jeans, some Payless Forces specials. Like, come on, man. So this ain't like something that's just new. It just depends. And again, like I said, the game has evolved. Kazi don't look like that no more. He don't look like that with the little baseball shirt. He don't look like that no more. Even Jack looked horrible in Tekken. Oh my gosh. You talking about no drip? They was saltine cracker dry in that game. So I mean, this game, it gives it its identity. So I mean, that's one thing you can say, like, what Melty Blood looks like because the characters look like this. So that's the biggest positive you can say. This game gives it identity because there's no other game where characters look like this. So like it or love it, but
In terms of like the way the characters look, I think yeah, like you really first like you shouldn't really be bashing the game because it has like its own unique like kind of look or anything like that. Like every game in one way or another is like it's to like stand out, like to stand out and stand apart from other games. So Melty Blood definitely does that by kind of having everybody have like a casual look. Like everybody, like one of the characters, that one chick, she has like the white shirt and then like the skirt and everything like that. It looks like she basically right before she started fighting, she was like, "Oh, hold on a second, let me put these groceries down real quick." Like she looks like she just got home from the grocery store and was like, "All right, let's square up." So like everybody kind of has that look where they were just walking down the street and you just challenge them to a match while they were either on the way to school, coming home from school. Like I just got done from going to like the arcade or something like that. Oh, it's time to fight. Because that one character with like the chick, she has like the red hair and the white t-shirt and the jeans. She's actually a really cool character. She has some really cool moves. Like she has the laser beams and like the little orbs that she can throw out and everything. Like she's a really cool character. Shiki Tono is a really cool character. The one dude, I like Devin, I actually played like the characters that I gravitated towards were of course like Nero and the one dude that the vampire dude, because they looked really cool. Them and the oh man, I can't remember. I think it's Koma, the martial artist dude. I gravitated towards that guy too because he looked like somebody that they look like characters that I would initially would be drawn to in any other fighting game. You know what I mean? And so like I said, some of the other characters are kind of like, yeah, I've got my school clothes on. I haven't had a chance to go back and change into my battle clothes, so let's do this right here in the middle of the street. That being said, though, um, if I had to choose, I would prefer characters to be a little bit more, a lot more flashy, like in Under Night. Like Under Night really isn't really getting the kind of attention that like a lot of people like I mean like the online isn't as great and stuff like that. I mean, I think is Melty Blood getting rollback? Is that like is that a thing?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
Melty
it's
Yeah.
Blood
getting
getting
rollback.
rollback?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, we got the online for like a game like Undernight, which I think in general I'm more likely to play because I like the way the characters look. I'm not saying that I wouldn't play Melty Blood, but what I'm saying is that the characters in Undernight look way cooler to me than they do in Melty Blood. In fact, I would go so far as to say if I had to choose one game to keep and one game to get rid of, I would probably get rid of Melty Blood before I got rid of Undernight, just because like the character roster in like in Undernight, it's like we were talking about earlier. It's like, you know, there's characters that you can like at a glance see what kind of character they are. You know, you don't necessarily like, I don't have to like in a game like Melty Blood, it's almost like you're required to go through everybody and be like, okay, how does this character play? How does this character play? How does this character play? You know, just to figure out which character you want to stick with. When in a game like Undernight, you have a decent idea of what these characters are capable of, but at a glance. So you can pinpoint who you want to try out and then be like, okay, this character works, this character doesn't work. I don't really like the way this character plays. You know, stuff like that. Like, you know, like I kind of like I said, I kind of live and die by the rule of cool. In pretty much every fighting game I play, like it's like every game I play, rule of cool dictates which character I'm going to play. Now, that like even if there might be a character that I might mesh with better, like that in the rest of the roster, but that doesn't matter because if I don't enjoy like seeing that character on screen and looking at like some of the cool stuff they do, it's pointless to me. I might as well not even be playing the game. I can go take a nap. So like the character has to look cool. Like they have to look cool because otherwise there's no point in me sticking with it. So yeah, man, like it's like when Octavian's talking about food and like what's called like, you know, like presentation, like the presentation of a meal, right, is directly connected to what your perception of it is. You know, if you come and like they just kind of like put the food on the plate, you know, with like no flair, you're gonna be like, okay, you're going to kind of feel it. You're hungry, so you're gonna eat the food, but you're not gonna feel any particular way about it. But if you have like, you know, like let's say somebody who's being like berated by Gordon Ramsay in the back kitchen, like they have to absolutely like make it look great, and they got the parsley on the side, and they've got like, you know, like crab like on a bed of rice, and the crab looks like, you know, it's holding like like some celery or something like that, and it's like the dirty rice and everything with like some gravy. I mean, you're gonna be like, oh my goodness, wow, this is great. Like that directly feeds in to how you feel about the meal. And in this case, that's kind of like when your character looks cool, that feeds into how you feel about the character, how you feel about playing the character, how you win when you win with the character, when you lose with the character. There's just like so much that goes into presentation. Not like I said, not to say like you should be bashing the game or the characters because they don't look as good as you'd like. But definitely, I can understand the mindset when people approach a game and they're like, you know what, these characters don't look as cool as I would like. But you, in this case, you kind of have to give them a chance because all the characters in Melty Blood are actually really cool. Like you have to give yourself a chance. Like go and check them out. This is one of those games where I would probably recommend going through all the characters and testing everybody out to see which characters you like. Like I played Melty Blood Act Cadenza, I think a long time ago, like 10 years ago, I played that game. And it was like, even back then, I was kind of like, these are okay, but I know the characters that look coolest to me from the jump, and nothing's changed. Like it's pretty much Coma, Nero, and the vampire dude. Those are the characters that I look at and I say, those are the characters that I want to play. So yeah, I would say that they are a little like in terms of drip, they are a little lacking in terms of drip, but that's not necessarily like because like, you know, there's like lack of effort or anything like that. It's just, you know, the way that like the visual novel was done, and like that's basically the direction that they went with it. So in closing, I would just say like just give the game a chance. You know, if you're not going to play the game anyway, why are you bothering talking about it? Like there's no point. But if you're on the fence, give it a chance because you'll probably find that you really enjoy the game. Like, you know, just based off of how wildly different some of the characters are and how unique they are.